Lieutenant Sarah Martinez stared at the wedding invitation on her desk, her sister's smiling face beaming back at her from the engagement photo. The golden script announced Emma's wedding date, just 3 weeks away. Sarah had been looking forward to this day for months, planning to take leave and fly home to Texas to watch her baby sister walk down the aisle. But life in the military rarely goes according to personal plans. "Martinez, I need to see you in my office." Colonel Peterson's voice cut through the busy hum of the communications center at Camp Liberty in Iraq. Sarah folded the invitation carefully and slipped it into her uniform pocket before making her way to his office. The colonel's face was serious as she entered and saluted. "At ease, Lieutenant. I'm afraid I have some difficult news. We've received new intelligence about insurgent activity in the Anbar province. Command is putting together a special communications unit to support our ground forces there. I need my best communications officer to lead the team." Sarah's heart sank. She knew what this meant before he even finished speaking. "Sir, I understand the mission's importance, but I have leave approved for my sister's wedding in 3 weeks. It's been planned for months and I'm her maid of honor." Colonel Peterson's expression softened slightly. "I know this is tough, Martinez. I've seen the photos on your desk. But this mission is critical. We're looking at a 2-month deployment to a forward operating base. The convoy leaves in 10 days. Sarah felt the weight of duty pressing down on her shoulders. She had joined the Army 6 years ago, driven by a desire to serve her country and make a difference. Her family had been proud but worried when she deployed to Iraq for her second tour. Emma had made her promise to be safe and come home for the wedding. "Can I have some time to think about it, sir?" "You have until tomorrow morning, Lieutenant. I'm sorry, but that's all the time we have." That evening, Sarah sat alone in her small quarters, staring at her laptop screen. She had started 3 different video calls to Emma but couldn't bring herself to hit the dial button. How do you tell your little sister that you might miss the most important day of her life? Finally, she called home. Emma answered on the second ring, her voice bright with excitement. "Sarah, I was just thinking about you. Mom and I went to the final dress fitting today, and oh my gosh, you're going to look amazing in your bridesmaid dress. Did you get the updated timeline I sent?" "Em, I need to talk to you about something important." The enthusiasm in Emma's voice immediately shifted to concern. "What's wrong? Are you okay? You're not hurt, are you?" "I'm fine. But there's a possibility I might not be able to make it to the wedding." The silence on the other end of the line stretched for what felt like forever. "What do you mean you might not make it? Sarah, you're my maid of honor. You promised you'd be here. This is my wedding day." Sarah closed her eyes, feeling tears threaten to spill. "I know, Em. I know I promised. But they're sending me on a critical mission. Lives depend on the communication systems I'll be setting up. I don't have a choice." "There's always a choice, Sarah. You've already done your part. You've been over there for 8 months. Can't someone else go?" "It doesn't work that way in the military, Em. They need their best people for this mission." Emma's voice cracked as she spoke. "So your duty is more important than family? More important than me? That's not fair, and you know it. You think this is easy for me? You think I want to miss your wedding?" Their conversation ended with Emma hanging up and Sarah staring at the blank screen, feeling more alone than she had since arriving in Iraq. The next morning, Sarah knocked on Colonel Peterson's door. She had spent the entire night thinking about her decision, weighing her personal desires against her professional obligations. "Sir, I'll take the mission." The colonel nodded, though she could see a flicker of sympathy in his eyes. "I know this wasn't an easy decision, Lieutenant. Your family will understand eventually." As Sarah left his office, she wondered if Emma would ever forgive her. The wedding was still 3 weeks away, but she would be deep in enemy territory. By then, setting up communication networks that could mean the difference between life and death for American soldiers. She spent the rest of the day making preparations, both professional and personal. She arranged for her bridesmaid dress to be shipped back home, wrote a heartfelt letter to Emma that she would send closer to the wedding date, and began briefing her replacement at Camp Liberty. That evening she tried calling home again, but Emma wouldn't take her calls. Her mother answered instead. "She's hurt, Sarah. She'll come around, but she's really hurt." "I know, Mom, but I have to do this. It's my job." "I understand, sweetheart. Your father and I are proud of you, even if we wish you could be here. Emma will understand someday, too." Sarah hoped her mother was right, but as she began packing for the mission, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was letting down the person who mattered most to her. The convoy rolled out of Camp Liberty before dawn, a line of armored vehicles cutting through the desert landscape toward Forward Operating Base Phoenix. Sarah sat in the passenger seat of the lead communications truck, watching the sun rise over the Iraqi desert. Despite her heavy heart about missing Emma's wedding, she couldn't help but feel the familiar surge of adrenaline that came with a new mission. Her team consisted of 5 specialists: Rodriguez, a satellite communications expert from California; Thompson, a young radio operator from Michigan who reminded her of Emma; Walsh, a seasoned electronics technician with 3 tours under his belt; Jackson, a computer systems analyst from Georgia; and Martinez, no relation but sharing her surname, who specialized in field repairs. "Lieutenant, we should reach Phoenix by 1400 hours. Sergeant Rodriguez called out from the driver's seat. "Intel says the area has been quiet for the past week, but we're still going in prepared for anything." Sarah nodded, checking her equipment one more time. The mission was straightforward in concept, but complex in execution. They needed to establish a secure communications network that would allow ground forces to coordinate with air support and command centers back at larger bases. The challenge was doing it in a remote location that had seen significant insurgent activity. As they drove deeper into the desert, Sarah's mind wandered to Emma. By now her sister would be in full wedding preparation mode. She thought about all the things she was missing: the bridal shower, the rehearsal dinner, the last-minute dress adjustments, and those precious sister moments she had been looking forward to sharing. Her satellite phone buzzed with a text message. Her heart jumped, hoping it might be Emma, but it was from her mother. "Emma's bridal shower was beautiful. She's still not speaking to you, but she kept your place setting at the table. Love you, sweetheart." The message brought both comfort and pain. Emma had kept her place at the table, which meant some part of her still hoped Sarah would find a way to make it home. "Checkpoint ahead, Lieutenant," Rodriguez announced, pulling Sarah back to the present. The Iraqi Army checkpoint was routine, but it reminded her of how far from home she really was. As they passed through and continued their journey, Sarah found herself thinking about the irony of her situation. Here she was, helping to bring freedom and stability to a country thousands of miles from home, while missing one of the most important moments in her family's life. They reached Phobie Phoenix as scheduled, and Sarah immediately threw herself into the work. The base was smaller than Camp Liberty, with fewer amenities but a tight-knit community of soldiers who had learned to depend on each other. The commanding officer, Major Williams, briefed her team on the tactical situation and the critical importance of their mission. "We've got units spread across a 50-mile radius," Major Williams explained, pointing to a map covered with red pins marking insurgent activity. "Without reliable communications, these soldiers are operating blind. Your job is to give them eyes and ears." Sarah and her team worked 18-hour days, setting up satellite dishes, running cables, and testing equipment. The work was technically demanding and physically exhausting, but it was also deeply satisfying. She could see the immediate impact of their efforts as units began reporting improved coordination and successful operations. Thompson, the young radio operator, became like a little brother to the team. He was barely 22 and talked constantly about his girlfriend back home, showing pictures to anyone who would look. Sarah saw so much of Emma's energy and enthusiasm in him. "Lieutenant, can I ask you something?" Thompson said one evening as they were running final system checks. "Shoot. Rodriguez told me you're missing your sister's wedding for this mission. That's got to be really tough." Sarah paused in her work, looking out at the desert sunset. "It is tough. But this is what we do, Thompson. We make sacrifices so others don't have to. But doesn't it make you angry sometimes? Missing out on the important stuff?" Sarah considered the question carefully. "Sometimes. But then I think about all the soldiers out there who might not make it home to their families if we don't do our jobs right. That makes the sacrifice feel worthwhile." As the days passed, Sarah threw herself deeper into the mission, working with an intensity that impressed even the seasoned Major Williams. She was setting up communication relays that would serve the region for months to come, potentially saving countless lives. But late at night, when the work was done and she was alone with her thoughts, Emma's face would appear in her mind. She wondered what her sister was doing at that exact moment, whether she was trying on her dress one more time or finalizing seating arrangements. She thought about the empty spot where the maid of honor should be. 2 weeks into the mission, Sarah received an update from home. Emma's wedding was now just 1 week away, and her sister still wasn't speaking to her. The silence hurt more than any argument could have. "She'll come around, Lieutenant," Rodriguez said, noticing Sarah's mood as she read the latest family update. Family always does. Sarah hoped he was right, but as she looked out at the endless desert surrounding their base, home felt impossibly far away. She had made her choice, and now she had to live with the consequences, even if it meant missing the most important day in her sister's life. The mission was proceeding flawlessly, but Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that she was paying too high a price for success. 3 days after Emma's wedding, Sarah was still processing the photo her family had sent. The empty chair with the American flag had touched her deeply, showing that despite Emma's anger, her family understood the weight of her sacrifice. She had printed the photo and kept it on her small desk, a reminder of home and the people she was fighting for. The communication systems at FOB Phoenix were running smoothly. Sarah's team had successfully established networks that allowed seamless coordination between ground units, air support, and command centers across the region. Their success had not gone unnoticed by higher command. "Lieutenant Martinez, report to Major Williams immediately," came the announcement over the base's communication system. Sarah found the major in his office, studying a map with several other officers she didn't recognize. Their uniforms indicated they were from division headquarters, which usually meant either very good news or very challenging orders. "Martinez, these gentlemen are from Division G3 Operations. Colonel Hayes, this is Lieutenant Martinez, the communications officer I was telling you about." Colonel Hayes stepped forward, extending his hand. "Lieutenant, I've been hearing exceptional things about your work here. The communication networks you've established have directly contributed to the success of several operations in this sector." "Thank you, sir. My team has worked very hard to ensure reliable communications for our forces. Which brings me to why I'm here," Colonel Hayes continued. "We have a situation developing about 80 miles northeast of here. Intelligence indicates a significant insurgent operation being planned against a civilian convoy route that's critical for humanitarian aid delivery. We need to establish a mobile communication command post to coordinate a multi-unit response." Major Williams spread out a larger map on his desk. "The mission would involve moving your team to a temporary position here." He pointed to a spot that looked remarkably isolated, and setting up communications for what could be a week-long operation. Sarah studied the map, her mind already calculating the technical requirements. "Sir, what kind of units would we be supporting?" 3 infantry companies, an armor unit, air support, and civilian protection teams," Colonel Hayes replied. "It's a complex operation requiring precise coordination. Division has specifically requested your team because of your proven ability to establish reliable communications in challenging environments. When would we deploy, sir?" "Tomorrow morning. I know it's short notice, but the humanitarian convoy is scheduled to pass through that area in 5 days. We need the communication network operational before then." Sarah felt the familiar weight of duty settling on her shoulders once again. Just as she was beginning to process missing Emma's wedding, another critical mission was pulling her deeper into the field, further from any chance of getting home soon. "Sir, I'll need to brief my team and ensure we have all necessary equipment." "Already taken care of, Lieutenant. Additional equipment is being flown in tonight, including portable satellite systems and extended battery packs. This is a priority mission at the highest levels." As the meeting concluded, Sarah walked back to her quarters, feeling the complexity of her situation. Every successful mission led to another, more critical assignment. Her expertise was becoming both a blessing and a burden. She gathered her team that evening to brief them on the new mission. Rodriguez, Thompson, Walsh, Jackson, and Martinez listened intently as she explained the tactical situation. "So we're basically setting up a mobile command center in the middle of nowhere to protect civilians?" Thompson asked. "That's right. The humanitarian convoy carries medical supplies, food, and clean water to villages that have been cut off by recent fighting. If insurgents attack that convoy, hundreds of innocent people could lose access to life-saving aid." Walsh, the veteran electronics technician, nodded approvingly. "Sounds like exactly the kind of mission we signed up for." It won't be easy, Sarah warned. We'll be in a more exposed position than we've been used to here at Phoenix. But the work we do could directly save civilian lives. As her team prepared for the mission, Sarah called home. This time, Emma answered the phone. Sarah? Oh my gosh, I wasn't sure you'd call. Hey, Em, how are you feeling? How was the honeymoon? It was wonderful. And Sarah, I need to apologize. I was so angry and hurt that I wasn't thinking clearly. Mom showed me the articles about what you're doing over there, about how the communication systems save soldiers' lives. I understand now why you couldn't leave. Sarah felt a weight lift from her chest. You don't need to apologize. I hated missing your wedding more than you'll ever know. But you did the right thing. I was being selfish. I saw the photo Mom took of the empty chair with the flag, and I realized that having a sister who serves our country with such dedication is something to be proud of, not angry about. I saw the photo. That meant everything to me. I love you, Sarah. Please be safe over there. I love you too, Em. And congratulations again on the wedding. I'm so sorry I missed it, but I'm so proud of the woman you've become. After hanging up, Sarah felt more at peace than she had in weeks. Emma's understanding and forgiveness made the sacrifice feel worthwhile in a way that duty alone couldn't provide. That night, as she packed for the new mission, Sarah reflected on the path that had brought her to this moment. Every choice had led to greater responsibilities, more critical missions, and deeper involvement in the conflict. She was becoming the kind of officer who gets called for the most challenging assignments because she had proven she could handle them. But with Emma's forgiveness, she felt ready for whatever lay ahead. The new mission would take her even further from the comfort and safety of established bases into a more dangerous and unpredictable environment. However, the knowledge that she was protecting innocent civilians and that her family finally understood her commitment gave her the strength she needed. As she fell asleep, Sarah thought about the humanitarian convoy she would help protect. Somewhere in Iraq, families were waiting for medical supplies and clean water. Children needed food and medicine. Her communication systems might be the difference between those supplies reaching their destination safely or being lost to insurgent attacks. It was a responsibility she was honored to carry, even if it meant more time away from home and more missed family moments. Emma's wedding had been a painful sacrifice, but it had led to this moment of understanding between them, and to a mission that could save many lives. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight Sarah slept peacefully for the first time since leaving Camp Liberty. Emma's wedding day dawned bright and clear in Austin, Texas. Sarah woke up in her small quarters at Phobie, Phoenix to the same sun, but it felt like she was on a different planet. While her family was preparing for the ceremony, she was running final diagnostics on communication equipment that would keep soldiers alive. The time difference meant that as Sarah was finishing her morning duties, the wedding preparations were reaching their peak back home. She had written a letter to Emma the night before, pouring her heart onto paper, explaining her choice and expressing her love and pride for her little sister. She planned to send it after the ceremony when emotions might be less raw. Big day today, huh, Lieutenant? Thompson asked as they worked on a particularly stubborn satellite relay. Sarah nodded, not trusting herself to speak. She had been emotional all morning, thinking about Emma walking down the aisle without her maid of honor beside her. Major Williams approached their workstation with an unusual expression on his face. Martinez, I need to see you privately. Sarah followed him to his office, wondering if there was a problem with the mission or if something had happened to her family. I just received some interesting intelligence, Major Williams began. Seems there's been unusual activity in Sector 7 about 20 miles from here. Nothing immediately threatening, but enough to warrant investigation. I'm putting together a small reconnaissance team, Sarah frowned. Sir, with respect, we're communications specialists, not infantry. I understand that, Lieutenant. But the team needs a communications expert to maintain contact with base during the mission. It's a one-day operation and you'd be back by evening. Sarah felt a strange mix of relief and disappointment. Part of her welcomed the distraction from thoughts of Emma's wedding, but another part wanted to spend the day thinking about her sister, even if it was painful. Who else is going on this mission, sir? Sergeant Rodriguez will drive and you'll have 2 infantry escorts. Simple reconnaissance, document any activity and report back. You leave in 30 minutes. As Sarah gathered her equipment, her mind was thousands of miles away. By now, Emma would be having her hair done, Surrounded by bridesmaids who would try to fill the gap left by her missing sister, Sarah wondered if Emma had found someone else to hold her bouquet during the vows, or if she had chosen to do without a maid of honor entirely. The reconnaissance team consisted of Sarah, Rodriguez, and 2 infantry soldiers, Corporal Jenkins and Private First Class Davis. They drove through the desert in a single armored vehicle, following intelligence reports about possible weapons caches in the area. "Lieutenant, you've been quiet today," Rodriguez observed as they navigated the rough terrain. "More than usual, I mean." "It's my sister's wedding day," Sarah replied simply. Jenkins, a father of 3 from Ohio, shook his head sympathetically. "That's rough, ma'am. I missed my daughter's high school graduation for my first deployment." "Still feel bad about it? Did she forgive you?" Sarah asked eventually. "Kids are more understanding than we think sometimes. They get that we're doing important work out here." As they approached the target area, Sarah's radio crackled with routine communications from various units across the region. The network she had helped establish was working perfectly, allowing soldiers to coordinate and stay safe. It was a reminder of why she had made her choice. The reconnaissance mission proved routine. They found evidence of recent activity, but nothing current or threatening. As they prepared to head back to base, Sarah checked her watch. Back home, guests would be arriving at the church, Emma would be getting into her dress, and their mother would be crying happy tears. "Martinez, you okay?" Davis asked, noticing her distraction. "Just thinking about home," she replied. "Where's home for you?" "Austin, Texas. My little sister is getting married today, and I should be there." Davis was quiet for a moment. "My sister got married while I was deployed in Afghanistan. I felt terrible about missing it. But you know what she told me later? She said knowing I was keeping other people safe made her wedding day even more meaningful. She was proud to have a brother who put service before personal comfort." Sarah appreciated the sentiment, but she wondered if Emma would ever feel that way. As they drove back toward Fob Phoenix, Sarah's satellite phone buzzed with a message from her mother. "Emma looks beautiful. The ceremony is starting in an hour. She asked me to tell you that she loves you, even though she's still angry. I told her you love her too." Tears blurred Sarah's vision as she read the message. Despite everything Emma had thought of her on her wedding day, maybe there was hope for forgiveness after all. "Good news from home?" Rodriguez asked, noticing her reaction. "Maybe," Sarah said, wiping her eyes. "Maybe it is." Back at the base, Sarah found a quiet spot and called home, knowing she would get voicemail but needing to leave a message anyway. "Hi, I know you're probably at your reception by now, and I hope it was everything you dreamed of. I'm so sorry I couldn't be there, but I want you to know that I was thinking about you all day. I love you, little sister, and I'm so proud of you. I hope someday you can understand why I had to make this choice. Enjoy your special day." As Sarah hung up, she felt a strange peace settle over her. She had made a difficult choice, one that had cost her personally but had potentially saved lives. Thompson was right, it did make her angry sometimes. But it also made her proud to serve something larger than herself. That evening, as the sun set over the Iraqi desert, Sarah received a photo on her phone. It showed Emma in her wedding dress, radiant and beautiful, surrounded by family. In the corner of the photo, there was an empty chair with a small American flag draped over it, and a sign that read, "For Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, serving our country with honor." Emma had honored her absence even in her anger. It was more than Sarah had dared to hope for. The convoy left Fob Phoenix before sunrise, heading into terrain that was both beautiful and dangerous. Sarah rode in the lead communications vehicle, watching the landscape change from the familiar desert around the base to rockier, more mountainous terrain. The new position was strategically chosen to provide good lines of sight for communications while offering natural defensive positions. The mobile command post location was a small plateau overlooking a valley through which the humanitarian convoy would pass in 3 days. It was isolated enough to provide security, but positioned to maintain communication links with supporting units spread across a wide area. "Lieutenant, this is going to be like building a small city from scratch," Rodriguez observed as they surveyed the site. He wasn't wrong. Sarah's team would need to establish not just communications equipment, but also coordinate with engineers to set up generators, security perimeters, and temporary shelters for the command staff who would coordinate the protection operation. Within hours of arrival, the plateau buzzed with activity. Engineers worked on establishing defensive positions, while Sarah's team began the complex process of setting up multiple communication networks. They needed to maintain contact with 3 infantry companies positioned along the convoy route, an armor unit stationed at a key checkpoint, air support bases and division headquarters. Martinez, how long for satellite uplink? Sarah called to her electronics specialist. 2 hours, Lieutenant. The portable dish is more complex than our usual setup. But once it's operational, we'll have crystal clear communication with anyone. Anywhere. Thompson was already working with Jackson to establish secure radio networks, their voices mixing with the sounds of generators and construction equipment. Despite the challenging conditions, Sarah felt energized by the work. This was what she had trained for, establishing communications in the most demanding environments. Major Williams had come along to oversee the operation, and he approached Sarah as she supervised the installation of the main communication console. How's it looking, Lieutenant? We'll be fully operational by tomorrow morning, sir. The teams are working incredibly hard, and the equipment is performing better than expected. Good. Intelligence suggests insurgent activity has increased in the area. They know about the humanitarian convoy and may be planning something significant. Sarah nodded, understanding the implications. The success of this mission could mean the difference between life and death for civilians who desperately needed the supplies being transported. As evening approached, Sarah's team had made remarkable progress. The communication systems were nearly complete, and initial tests with supporting units were successful. But as Sarah worked late into the night making final adjustments, she received an unexpected call on her satellite phone. Sarah, it's Mom. I hope I'm not calling at a bad time. It's never a bad time to hear from you, Mom. How's everyone? We're all fine. Emma asked me to call. She wanted you to know that she and David are thinking about you, and she's been following news about the humanitarian operations in your area. She's proud of what you're doing. Sarah smiled, looking out at the desert night sky. That means everything to me. There's something else, honey. Your father wanted me to tell you that he's been talking to other veterans at the American Legion, and they're all following your unit's work. They say what you're doing is exactly why they served, protecting innocent people who can't protect themselves. Mom, you're going to make me cry. We're all so proud of you, Sarah. Emma, especially. She said she finally understands that missing her wedding wasn't about choosing duty over family, but about choosing to protect families you'll never meet. After the call, Sarah felt renewed purpose as she continued working. The communication systems hummed quietly in the desert night, ready to coordinate the protection of people who were counting on them. The next day brought final preparations as the convoy protection teams moved into their positions. Sarah's communication post became the nerve center of the operation, with constant radio traffic as units reported their status and received updates on the convoy's progress. Lieutenant, convoy is approximately 6 hours out, Major Williams announced. All units report ready status. Sarah monitored multiple communication channels simultaneously, ensuring that every unit involved in the protection operation could communicate clearly with each other and with the command post. The complexity was staggering. Coordinating ground units, air support, and civilian protection teams required split-second timing and perfect communication. Alpha Company reports movement in Sector 3, came a voice over the radio. Air support, this is Mobile Command. Can you provide eyes on Sector 3? Sarah responded immediately. Mobile Command, air support has visual. No immediate threat detected, but continuing surveillance. The day passed with constant communication traffic as the convoy approached the danger zone. Sarah barely noticed the hours passing as she managed the flow of information that kept everyone coordinated and safe. Thompson, working beside her, was handling radio communications with an efficiency that impressed even veteran operators. Lieutenant, I've got to say, this is what I joined the Army for. Knowing that our work is directly protecting innocent people makes every long day worth it. That's exactly right, Thompson. This is why we do what we do. As the sun began to set, the humanitarian convoy was just 2 hours from entering the most dangerous part of their route. Sarah's team had been working for nearly 18 hours straight, but their focus never wavered. Lives depended on their ability to maintain perfect communications throughout the night. All units, this is Mobile Command. Convoy entering danger zone in approximately 2 hours. Maintain heightened alert status and report any unusual activity immediately. The responses came back crisp and clear from every unit. The communication network Sarah's team had built was performing flawlessly under pressure, exactly as it was designed to do. Looking at her team working with such dedication and professionalism, Sarah felt proud of what they had accomplished. They had built something from nothing in the middle of dangerous territory, and now that system was protecting innocent lives. It was the kind of mission that reminded her why she had chosen to serve, and why sacrifices like missing Emma's wedding, while painful, were sometimes necessary for a greater good. The humanitarian convoy had been traveling safely for 3 hours when everything changed. Sarah was monitoring communications from her post on the plateau when urgent radio traffic began flooding the networks. Mobile command, this is Bravo Company. We have multiple IED explosions on the main route, approximately 2 miles ahead of the convoy. Road is completely blocked. Sarah's training took over as she immediately began coordinating response efforts. Bravo Company, what's the status of your personnel? 3 wounded, none critical, but we need immediate medical evacuation. The convoy can't proceed on this route. Major Williams was beside Sarah instantly, studying maps as she worked the communications. What are our options, Lieutenant? Sarah was already analyzing alternative routes while maintaining contact with all units. Sir, there are 2 possible detours, but both would require the convoy to travel through areas where we don't have established communication coverage. How long to establish coverage on the alternate routes? Under normal circumstances, 6 to 8 hours. But if we split our team and work continuously, we might be able to do it in 4. The Major's expression was grim. The convoy can't wait that long. They're carrying medical supplies that are desperately needed, including blood products that will expire if not delivered within 12 hours. Sarah felt the weight of the situation. Hundreds of civilians were counting on those supplies, but sending the convoy through areas without communication coverage would put everyone at risk. Sir, what if we create a mobile relay system? We could use our backup equipment to establish temporary communication points along the alternate route. Explain. Sarah pulled out a map, her mind racing through technical possibilities. We deploy 2-person teams at 3 strategic points along the detour route. Each team carries portable satellite communication gear. It's not as robust as our main system, but it would provide basic communication coverage for the convoy. Major Williams studied the plan. That would mean splitting your team across dangerous territory with minimal backup. Yes, sir. But it's the only way to ensure the convoy can proceed safely. Do it. Within 30 minutes, Sarah's team was preparing for the most challenging mission of their deployment. Rodriguez and Walsh would take the first relay position, Thompson and Jackson the second, and Sarah would go with Martinez to establish the third and most dangerous position, closest to known insurgent activity. Lieutenant, are you sure about this? Rodriguez asked as they prepared to separate. You're asking us to operate in small teams with limited support. I know it's risky, but those supplies have to get through. There are families waiting for medicine, clean water, and food. We're the only ones who can make this work. Each team loaded their vehicles with portable communication equipment, emergency supplies, and defensive weapons. They would be operating independently for the first time, connected only by the communication networks they were being deployed to create. Sarah and Martinez reached their position just as darkness was falling. They worked by night vision equipment to set up their portable satellite dish and establish their relay point. The equipment was lighter than their usual gear but required more precise alignment to function properly. Contact with mobile command established. Martinez reported as their satellite system came online. Mobile command, this is Relay 3. We're operational and ready to guide the convoy through Sector 7. Similar reports came in from Rodriguez and Thompson's teams. The makeshift relay system was working, creating a communication corridor through which the humanitarian convoy could travel safely. All relay teams, this is Mobile Command. Convoy is beginning alternate route approach. Excellent work, people. For the next 4 hours, Sarah coordinated convoy movements from her isolated position. She guided the trucks through difficult terrain, warned them about potential hazards, and maintained contact with supporting military units. Martinez worked tirelessly to keep their equipment functioning under challenging conditions. Relay 3, this is Convoy Lead. We have a problem. One of our trucks has broken down and we're taking small arms fire from an unknown position. Sarah's heart raced as she immediately began coordinating response. Convoy Lead, take defensive positions. I'm calling in air support and ground backup. Working her radio with practiced efficiency, she contacted air support units while Martinez adjusted their satellite dish to maintain perfect communication. Within minutes, she had helicopters en route to provide cover and ground units moving to assist the convoy. Air support, Charlie. This is Relay 3. Convoy is taking fire at grid coordinates 328471. Request immediate assistance. Relay 3. Air support. Charlie is 2 minutes out. Can you provide target identification? Sarah coordinated between the helicopter pilots, the convoy personnel, and ground support units with precision that surprised even herself. Her months of training and experience came together in those critical moments. Air support Charlie. Convoy reports muzzle flashes from the ridgeline, approximately 200 meters north of their position. Exercise extreme caution. Civilians present. Copy Relay 3, visual on targets. Engaging now. The sound of helicopter gunfire echoed across the desert, followed by silence on the convoy's radio frequency. Sarah held her breath, waiting for confirmation. Relay 3, this is Convoy lead, all clear. Hostile fire has stopped. We're getting our disabled truck back online. Sarah exhaled deeply, realizing she had been holding her breath. Martinez looked at her with newfound respect. Lieutenant, that was incredible coordination under pressure. You probably just saved lives. We all did, Martinez. This whole operation is a team effort. 20 minutes later, the convoy was moving again, guided by Sarah's voice through the darkness toward their destination. She maintained constant communication with all units, ensuring no one was operating blind in the dangerous terrain. As dawn broke, the humanitarian convoy reached the village safely. The medical supplies, food, and clean water would reach the families who desperately needed them. Sarah's innovative relay system had worked perfectly, proving that quick thinking and teamwork could overcome seemingly impossible challenges. All relay teams, this is Mobile Command. Mission accomplished. The convoy has reached its destination safely. Outstanding work, everyone. As Sarah and Martinez packed up their equipment, she felt a profound sense of satisfaction. They had taken a dangerous situation and found a solution that saved lives. The split-second decisions, the technical improvisation, and the willingness of her team to operate in small units under dangerous conditions had made the difference. Her satellite phone buzzed with a message from Major Williams. Lieutenant Martinez, your innovative solution and leadership under pressure saved this mission. Division has taken notice. Expect new orders soon. Sarah looked at the message with mixed feelings. Every successful mission seemed to lead to bigger challenges and more time away from home. But as she watched the sun rise over the Iraqi desert, she realized that this was exactly where she belonged. Her skills, training, and dedication were making a real difference in the world. Ready to head back to base, Lieutenant? Martinez asked. Ready, Sarah replied, taking one last look at the village in the distance where families were receiving life-saving supplies because of their work. It was a sight she would never forget, and it made every sacrifice worthwhile. 2 days after the successful humanitarian convoy operation, Sarah and her team were back at FOB Phoenix, conducting routine maintenance on their communication systems. The mission had been deemed such a success that Division Headquarters was considering implementing Sarah's mobile relay concept across other sectors. Sarah was in the communications center, updating technical reports, when Sergeant Rodriguez burst through the door with an expression she had never seen before. Pure excitement mixed with disbelief. Lieutenant, you need to see this. There's a convoy approaching the main gate, but it's not military. Sarah followed Rodriguez outside, squinting in the bright desert sun. In the distance, she could see a small convoy of civilian vehicles approaching the base. As they got closer, Sarah could make out decorations on the vehicles. Ribbons, flowers, and what looked like wedding decorations. What in the world? Sarah muttered, shading her eyes for a better look. Major Williams appeared beside them, looking equally puzzled. I didn't authorize any civilian visitors today. Security, what's the status on that approaching convoy? The radio crackled with the security checkpoint's response. Sir, you're not going to believe this. It's a wedding party. They say they're here to see Lieutenant Martinez. Sarah's heart stopped. That's impossible. Emma's wedding was a week ago and she's on her honeymoon. But as the convoy reached the base entrance and the passengers began climbing out of the vehicles, Sarah saw faces that made her legs weak. Emma stepped out of the lead car, radiant in a simple white dress that wasn't her wedding gown but was clearly chosen for this moment. Behind her came their parents, Emma's new husband David, and what appeared to be half the wedding party. Sarah, Emma called out, running toward the gate as security personnel tried to figure out what was happening. Sarah stood frozen in shock as Major Williams spoke into his radio. Security, let them through. I want to see what this is about. Within minutes, Sarah found herself surrounded by family and friends in the middle of an Iraqi military base. Emma threw her arms around her, tears streaming down both their faces. What are you doing here? How did you even get here? Emma pulled back, grinning through her tears. Well, after my wedding, I realized that having the ceremony was wonderful, but it wasn't complete without my maid of honor. So David and I decided to postpone our honeymoon and bring the celebration to you. Sarah looked around in amazement. You brought a wedding party to Iraq? Not just any wedding party, her mother interjected, hugging Sarah tightly. We contacted a military family support organization, and they helped us arrange a visit through proper channels. It took a week of paperwork and approvals, but here we are. David stepped forward, extending his hand to Sarah. Hi, Sarah. I'm David, and I've heard so much about you. Emma insisted that our marriage wouldn't be properly blessed until her sister could celebrate with us. Major Williams approached the group, his stern military demeanor softened by obvious amazement. Lieutenant Martinez, this is highly irregular, but I have to admit it's also remarkable. Your family has gone through considerable effort to get here. Emma turned to the major. Sir, my sister sacrificed being at my wedding to serve our country and protect innocent people. After I learned about the humanitarian mission she just completed, I realized that her service made my wedding day even more meaningful. But I still wanted to share this joy with her. Thompson, Rodriguez, and the rest of Sarah's team had gathered around, watching the reunion with broad smiles. Thompson was openly wiping tears from his eyes. Lieutenant, Thompson said, I've never seen anything like this. Your family is amazing. Emma reached into a bag she was carrying and pulled out a smaller version of her wedding bouquet. Sarah, I know the ceremony is over, but would you still be my maid of honor for a celebration? We brought music, cake, and even a photographer. Sarah looked around at her family, her teammates, and the other soldiers who had gathered to witness this unprecedented scene. Major Williams nodded his approval, and she realized that this moment was perhaps even more special than the original wedding would have been. Of course, Emma would be honored. What followed was the most unique wedding celebration ever held at a military base in Iraq. Emma and David renewed their vows with Sarah standing beside her sister as maid of honor. The base's chaplain, touched by the story, agreed to officiate the ceremony. Soldiers from across the base gathered to witness the celebration, many of them calling their own families to share this incredible story. Sarah's team worked together to set up speakers using their communication equipment, filling the air with wedding music. The base's kitchen staff, moved by the family's gesture, prepared a special meal to accompany the wedding cake Emma had somehow managed to transport across the world. As Sarah stood beside her sister during the vow renewal, she felt a completeness she hadn't realized was missing. The sacrifice of missing the original wedding had been necessary and right, but having this moment of celebration made everything perfect. I love you, Sarah, Emma whispered as the ceremony concluded. I understand now why you had to choose duty first, but I'm so glad we could find a way to choose family too. Sarah hugged her sister tightly, looking out at the assembled soldiers and her family. I love you too, Em. This is the most incredible thing anyone has ever done for me. Major Williams approached them after the ceremony. Lieutenant, I've been in the Army for 20 years, and I've never seen anything like this. Your family's love and determination to reach you here shows me why we fight, to protect families exactly like yours. As the sun set over Fob Phoenix, Sarah realized that this day had given her something she thought she had lost forever. She had served with honor, protected innocent lives, and maintained her duty to her country. But she had also discovered that sometimes love finds a way to bridge any distance and overcome any obstacle. Emma's wedding celebration at a military base in Iraq became a story that would be told for years, a reminder that family love can flourish even in the most unlikely places, and that the greatest victories are often found in the moments when duty and love find a way to coexist.